In this lesson, we're going to take some time to look at how we can quickly and easily surround blocks of code with try-catch statements, or if statements, or even loop statements, should we decide to do that. To do this, we're going to modify the program.java file to clean it up a little bit and see some of these commands in action. So go ahead and get program.java open, and let's take a look at the code. Now we'll note that we have a try block with a nested try that has a nested try. So we have 3 nested tries right away, some other code, and our ending catch statements. Now let's make sure that we go to the correct matching bracket here, Control-Shift-P. So that's the end of our try. So this is the end of our statement that we want. This entire statement, let's go ahead and now block comment this out using Control-Shift/. Now that, of course, will block comment out the entire code, and we can start from scratch. At this point, let's go ahead and save it and make sure that we don't have any errors. If we've selected the wrong block of code, we'll see an error, so that's a good point to check. And let's start with file F1 and file F2. Let's grab those 2 lines of code, Control-C and Control-V to paste. Now we have our 2 file lines up at the top, and we want to wrap these in a try-catch block. We want to make sure that when we're working with files, if we have an I/O exception, we handle it, especially at this top level where we're actually running the code. So let's select our code that we want to encompass, and let's go to the source menu and select Surround with Try-Catch Block. Now note Alt-Shift-Z will bring up this menu as well. We'll use that in a moment. So there's our try-catch block, and now we have our file F1 and file F2 wrapped inside of a try-catch. And if we want, we can actually bring file F1 and file F2 outside and fix those very quickly. We have the ability to access those files outside of this try-catch block for some reason, should we decide to do so. Now we have our file F1 and file F2 created, and the next thing we want to do is run those if statements to make sure that those files exist. So let's grab f1.createNewFile and f2.createNewFile. What we'll do is just paste it twice and then change the f1 to f2 here. So now what I want to do is wrap each one of these in a statement to match. If not exists, then we want that in place. So let's hit Alt-Shift-Z. Now, of course, on the Mac, this would be Option-Shift-Z. And here we can wrap this in an if statement. So our condition here is not f1.exists. Same thing here. Again, Alt-Shift-Z or Command-Shift-Z on the Mac. And once again, the if statement, not f2.exists. So now we can see that our try-catch is in place and our files are set up, and we make sure on our first run that our files are working. So that brings the last part of our code that we needed to have in place, which is our password manager and our JPanel. Now if we place those in our code, we are good to go, and our code has been cleaned up. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this section. And we've seen now that it's very easy to wrap specific sections of code. So once again, here we had some files. We opened them up to look at them to make sure that they existed. If they didn't exist, we just created a new file with whatever the path name is. That made sure that we don't have a file not found error once we start running our code. Now we still have our password manager running, which could potentially still throw errors if there's an error such as the file permission. Perhaps a file is locked and we can't access it even though we should have been able to. So let's go ahead and make sure once again that these are wrapped in a try-catch just to handle any of that issue. So again, we'll just Alt-Shift-Z, wrap this in a try-catch. But while this is open, I just want to note you can see other templates that are here. If you wanted to do a for statement, a do statement, if you wanted to make this runnable method, you could create the runnable method using the template. If you need it to be synchronized for threading, if you want a while loop. So here, let's just go ahead once again, wrap this with a final try-catch, and we can again just print out the stack trace because we're not doing any error handling in this application. But now you can see that our code is a lot nicer, and we were able to demonstrate through that process how we were able to quickly and easily wrap our code with pre-templated items such as the try-catch block or the if statement or loops, should we so desire. So that wraps up our look at surrounding blocks of code with the try-catch, loops, or conditional statements.